Magical Peapod, selling to developers. Has anyone got experience with selling to developers? We have a unit in Sydney and have been approached by developers who want to buy our block plus surrounding properties. It must be an older, like maybe a little 6 unit or something like that.
Yeah.
They want us to enter into an option to buy within 3 years offer. So we need to decide would be happy to sell anytime within the next 3 years, which is a hard one. What else should we think about? I'd love to hear if anyone gone through this now and how it's turned out for them. John, before I get you to give your thoughts, I might just explain loosely for those to understand about these types of options.
Yeah.
So basically, the Magical Peapod, they've got a property and we'll call it worth $1 million, right? They write, and the developers would draw this up effectively, but they write an options contract to the developer that says over the next, so that's 1, 2, 3 years, over the next 3 years, this contract says that the developer has the option to buy your block over the next 3 years.
Yeah.
Okay. It's worth $1 million now. We know that if they purchased it, build apartments, that whole thing could be worth, we'll just call it 10 mil, right? We've got the option over the next 3 years to buy your block, not for the 1 million. They usually do a bit of juice in it for 1.7 million, for example. So basically what happens is if you enter into that, and sometimes they'll pay a premium on the option as well. So there could be, I don't know, $100,000 a year that comes in while the option's in play. And this is this is the street smart guide to explaining how this stuff works. So if you're a property lawyer, don't at me just yet. So generally what happens is once that options contract is entered into, the developer has that option. They go and do all the work to submit to council to get a DA approved on this block. So they'll do surveying, they'll do plans, all that stuff, because if they can get the DA approved for that block is instantly worth more than the 1 now, more than the 1.7 that they'll give to the property holder. And it basically, and the reason why they do 3 years is because it could take 3 years for the developer to spend 100 or 200 or 300 grand in with councils to get all these DA sorted.
Yeah.
So then what happens in the perfect world, the developer comes in and has got the DA, so they can turn this little unit into a high-rise thing. The developer goes, sweet, we've got the option now to buy this, now that we can build on it. And if they couldn't get the DA up, the developer has just foregone the costs of the DA and all the planning stuff and potentially the premium that they've charged along the way.
Yeah.
So then if they do get it, they go, yeah, we'll call in the option to buy this property, give you the 1.7. Now, the reason that it's the 1.7 is because it's an amount that is higher than you could get for it just selling to the open market and without you going to get the DA and all that. The Magical Peapod, they could effectively go and do all this DA work themselves or on behalf of the body corporate or whatever that is and do it all their work, but they're carrying all the risk. So if it doesn't get across the line, they might have wasted 300 to 500 grand on plans and planning and all that. So in a perfect world, it's not an out of the ordinary approach is what I wanted to say. And that's how, real property people, John, make money.
Yeah. Well, it's
not property people like you who buy and hold and carry all the risk and flip and all that. You write the option on it. That's how you make the money.
Yeah. There's it's risk reward. And in this situation, this person's got one unit and there's surrounding properties. It sounds as though there's a unit block complex. They want the option to purchase all of them plus the surrounding properties to do one big massive development that's going to, as you said, make a lot more profit than if it was just one unit. So, yeah, we've done a lot of knocking on doors over the journey to try and buy blocks that we think are appealing. And I think if I'm in this position for Magical Peapod, cool name, isn't it? We've got to be saying
Amy calls you, isn't it?
We've got to be saying, if this didn't come along, what are we doing with this unit? Are we holding it 10 years anyway, or were we going to sell it in the next couple of years anyway? Otherwise, okay, if that's the case, then we entertain that. But yeah, it's all in the developer's control because they can turn around and 12 months' time and say, no, we don't want to buy it anymore. But in most cases, once you commit to something like this, you can't sell it to anyone else.
And that's what I was going to say. They could turn around in 12 months when they've got a hard no. They've still got a covenant over the property.
That's right.
Unless you, and I'll speak to it, but you need to get your own property lawyer in to represent you on this.
Yeah.
Unless they kind of call the option and make it go away.
Yeah. So it can be really attractive, but you've just got to understand the pros and cons before signing, and a lawyer's a non-negotiable on that one, but knowing what your strategy is for that particular property.
But I think what else should we think about? I mean, it actually could be, I've been involved in the options contract world with property and made money and done all that, right? In an ecosystem, you do need the developers. I mean, don't get me started about unscrupulous ones that are idiots and do annoying, dumb stuff.
Yeah.
But it's a good part because you need someone that's going to take the risk to knock that down and build the 20-story building. So I do get it, and I've had personal experience and made money through this type of stuff before. I'm just saying, what else should we think about? Number one, could this be a way that maybe you could – because effectively, if they call the option, you will be selling it for more than what you could sell it for in normal market times, because otherwise you wouldn't go into the options contract.
Why would you do it? Yeah.
So when you go to a property lawyer, it's a developer, there's plenty of meat. Whatever they propose – it's going to be more because they're going to want to steal it.
You can negotiate. Yeah.
So it could be, upon signing, we want $200,000. I'm just making crap up off the bat because the counter side of it, and I don't think it would be there, is if in 3 years' time the option gets called and the market had moved, so we're now selling it to the developers for the 1.7 where we could have sold it in the free market for 2.3. Now, it's very unlikely, but that is a downside risk.
Yeah, and a lot can happen in 3 years too in terms of growth. But the first thing you would look at is, well, can I do this myself? Right? Have I got the team of people? Can I recruit the team of people to potentially do what this developer knocking on my door is wanting to do themselves? So that's the other part of it too, understanding people's risk profile around any of this. It might be just look, they've offered me $500,000 more than what I could get for it today, so I'm happy with that. I'll commit to it. But
so you probably just need to make sure that, and you could do some numbers assuming growth over the next 3 years could be X amount.
Yeah.
And a good property lawyer acting for you. That's all I would say in this. Yeah. Get someone who's just acting for you.
Yeah.
Because the developer will have the lawyers that do write the options contract that you effectively issue. You just don't want to get caught out.
And if it's something where you're living in, doesn't say whether it's an investment or not, but if you're living in it, obviously you've got to now go and find somewhere else to live. So when are you getting your money, and is there this holding pattern that you've sort of in no man's land for a little bit? So it's a commitment.
And I think the whole thing is there would be covenants. So if you did want to sell it within the 3 years, the developer has the first option to buy it.
Right, a refusal.
Or, yes, you can sell it to another party knowing that there's an option in tow. And these are all the details that you just need to cross off. But yeah, not opposed to it. And it could be a way to actually get some money out of your property and not taking any risk. And the only risk you're taking is you're probably there for 3 years and the market may be more than what you sell it for in 3 years. But you just want to make sure.
Let's hypothetically say, I'm just going to make some numbers up. There's 8 units in this complex.
Yep.
And let's say the developer wants a property either side.
Yes.
So there's maybe 10 entities.
Yes.
You don't want to be the first person to sign this agreement. You want to be the 10th.
So are you saying so when you said 8 units, are you talking on, just so we're very clear, there's 3 blocks.
Yeah.
2 Smith Street, 4 Smith Street, and 6 Smith Street.
Yes.
So you're saying 2 Smith Street has a freehold house.
Yes.
6 Smith Street
Same.
has a freehold house. 4 Smith Street, which you're in,
Has 8 units.
and I will draw it for YouTube just so people can. So if this is Smith Street, I should have done this to start with. 2 Smith, 4 Smith, 6 Smith. There's a freehold property either side. And on 4 Smith Street, there's the unit complex. And this person maybe owns one of those units.
Yeah.
And then they might – so there's going to be – you're going to have to engage the strata, the body corporate, to act on behalf of the strata plan here. But you're saying don't be the first lot to go into it. Or we say, well, we need a lawyer to collectively represent all 3, and then I don't know.
You agree on a price together, but yeah, traditionally what happens in these cases is there's the 8 different entities in this example. There's 6 of them that the developer's got a concrete agreement with, and there's 2 remaining.
Yeah, but I think that wouldn't be the case because it would have to be the strata plan agreeing.
Yes, well, that's where it comes down to.
So there's only
having
really
the lawyer.
3 entities.
Yeah, so if they did have a say to say, well, hang on a minute, I'm just holding off to see how all this plays out.
Yeah, well, but that's the thing. If it is what we've kind of drawn here as the example, if the purple, whatever it was, magical pea pod, if they're just an owner in one of these units, it actually doesn't matter. They need to just get quite informed and be informed to vote on it, yes or no, at a strata committee.
A majority.
And engage the committee to engage lawyers on behalf of the committee.
Yeah.
I would imagine.
You just don't want to sell your soul too early is my
No, and that's what I said.
takeaway.
Like any first offers that they make, and there could actually be a lawyer that represents all 3.
Yeah.
Like the strata committee goes and talks to either side and go, hey, let's do this as a block.
Yeah.
Excuse the pun that they're blocks, but let's do it as an actual block. Hey, it's Glen here. Thank you so much for watching today's video. You made it to the end. Can I ask a favor? Can you hit that like button and maybe hit subscribe if you want to get notified when we release further videos just like this one, whether you watch the Money, Money, Money podcast or Retire Right. And remember, if you want to learn more about investing, I've got an investing book, The Quick Start Guide to Investing, and there's a link in the description to get your hands on a copy. Thank you so much. Bye.